stretching from the misty peaks of the northern highlands to the palm-fringed shores of the southern peninsula. This is a land caught between ancient traditions and a rapidly changing world. Bordered by Myanmar to the west, Laos to the northeast, Cambodia to the southeast, and Malaysia to the south, the Kingdom of Thailand stands as Southeast Asia's great survivor, the only nation in the region never subdued by European colonial powers. It is a country famous for its dazzling temples, its fiery curries, and a hospitality so genuine that visitors often call it the Land of Smiles. Yet beneath that warm exterior lies a far more complex story. For centuries, its people have endured invasions, political upheavals, economic crises, and natural disasters, emerging each time with their identity intact. Their character was tempered by the rise and fall of mighty empires, by the flow of the Chao Phraya River, and by an unshakable devotion to their king and their Buddhist faith. The tale of how this tropical kingdom carved its place in history is one of warriors and monks, merchants and revolutionaries, resilience and reinvention. This is the history of Thailand. Before we journey deeper, take a moment to subscribe so you won't miss the next chapter of our exploration. Imagine a landscape untouched by cities or temples. Dense jungles cover much of the land, broken by winding rivers and limestone outcrops. Large mammals, elephants, tigers, and wild cattle roam freely. Into this wilderness, the first humans arrived over 40,000 years ago. Archaeological excavations at Thamlod Rock Shelter in Mae Hong Son Province and at Spirit Cave, near the Myanmar border, have uncovered stone tools, animal bones, and charcoal from ancient hearths. These early inhabitants were hunter-gatherers, moving with the seasons to exploit ripening fruits, migrating fish, and grazing herds. Their technology was simple but effective. Flakes of chert and jasper were shaped into scrapers, knives, and projectile points. They used bamboo for traps and baskets, though those materials have long since decayed. They painted their bodies with ochre and buried their dead with grave goods, shell beads, pig teeth, and stone adzes, suggesting a belief in an afterlife. Life was short and harsh. Few individuals lived past 40. Yet these small bands of perhaps 20 to 30 people thrived for millennia, leaving their genetic legacy in modern Thais. By around 3000 BCE, a profound shift occurred. The climate warmed, sea levels stabilized, and people began experimenting with domesticated plants and animals. At Kok Phanam D, a site near the Gulf of Thailand, archaeologists excavated a large cemetery containing hundreds of burials. The skeletons show that these people consumed rice, a crop that would become central to Southeast Asian civilization. They also fished, hunted, and gathered shellfish, supplementing their diet with wild foods. The women wore elaborate shell jewelry, and some graves contained clay pots shaped with intricate cord-marked patterns. The most remarkable prehistoric site in Thailand is Ban Chang in Udon Thani province. Excavated in the 1970s, it pushed back the timeline of Southeast Asian metallurgy. Radiocarbon dating suggests that the people of Ban Chiang were casting bronze as early as 1500 BCE, contemporaneous with early Chinese bronze working and only slightly later than the Near East. They used the lost wax technique to create ornaments, tools, and weapons. Their pottery, with its distinctive swirling red-on-buff designs, is among the most beautiful prehistoric ceramics in the world. Imagine a typical Ban Chang household. A raised wooden house with thatched roof shelters a family of 8 to 10 people. Beneath the house, pigs and chickens scratch in the dirt. The rice paddies nearby are flooded during the monsoon, then harvested in the dry season. The village blacksmith tends a small furnace, smelting copper ore with tin to produce bronze. The potter shapes clay on a turntable, then paints geometric patterns with iron-rich red slip before firing. Trade networks extend hundreds of kilometers. Seashells from the Gulf of Thailand, marble from the mountains, and salt from inland deposits all pass through Ban Chiang. By 500 BCE, iron tools began to replace bronze. Iron plows allowed farmers to break tougher soil, expanding the area under cultivation. Iron weapons gave warriors an edge in inter-village conflicts. Population grew, and settlements became more permanent. Some villages grew into large agglomerations of several hundred people, protected by ditches and earthen walls. The great rivers, the Chao Phraya, the Mun and the Mekong, served as corridors for trade and communication. Long dugout canoes carried goods and people from the interior to the coast, where they connected with maritime networks reaching India and China. Archaeological evidence of Indian glass beads, Chinese mirrors and Roman coins, found at the ancient port of Khao Sam Kao, show that the region was far from isolated. These early exchanges planted seeds of cultural influence, Hindu and Buddhist ideas, writing systems and artistic motifs that would later bloom into full-fledged civilizations. The prehistoric period in Thailand thus laid the essential foundations: rice agriculture, bronze and iron metallurgy, long-distance trade, and social complexity. When the first states emerged in the first millennium CE, they built upon this deep heritage. One of the most fascinating aspects of this era is the continuity of certain traditions. For example, the practice of chewing betel nut with areca palm fruit, lime paste and spices, a habit that stains the teeth red, dates back to prehistoric times and was still widespread in rural Thailand until the 20th century. Similarly, the construction of houses on stilts, which protects against flooding and allows animals to shelter underneath, has been documented at archaeological sites from 3,000 years ago and remains common today. The prehistoric inhabitants also developed sophisticated spiritual beliefs. Evidence from grave sites suggests a cosmology that included an underworld, a middle world of humans, and an upper world of spirits. Shamans or ritual specialists, identifiable by the unusual grave goods buried with them, such as clusters of perforated animal teeth or rare stones, may have mediated between these realms. Some of these beliefs, such as the reverence for Fi, spirits inhabiting trees, rivers, and mountains, were later incorporated into Buddhist practice, creating the distinctive blend of animism and Buddhism that characterizes Thai religion today. By the 6th century CE, the Mon people, an Austroasiatic-speaking ethnic group, had established a constellation of walled settlements across central and northeastern Thailand. Historians call this culture Dvaravati, after the Sanskrit name recorded in Chinese sources. Dvaravati was not a unified kingdom, but a network of rival city-states, Nakhon Pathom, Yuthong, Kubua, Sithep and others, each ruled by its own king. They shared a common language, religion, and artistic tradition, but they did not bow to a single overlord. Nakhon Pathom, located west of modern Bangkok, was likely the largest and most important Dvaravati centre. Its main monument, Pra Pathomachedi, though rebuilt in later centuries, marks the spot of an earlier Buddhist stupa that may have been the tallest structure in early Southeast Asia. Excavations have uncovered Buddhist votive tablets, bronze sculptures of the Buddha, and inscriptions in Mon and Sanskrit. The Dvaravati Buddha image evolved a distinctive style: broad shoulders, a fleshy face with arched eyebrows, and a serene half-smile. The monastic robe is worn diagonally across the chest, with a fold at the shoulder. Dvaravati society was deeply influenced by Indian culture. Merchants and monks traveling across the Bay of Bengal brought with them Hindu epics, Buddhist scriptures, legal texts, and artistic canons. Local elites adopted Sanskrit titles and patronized Brahmin priests to legitimize their rule. Yet they also adapted Indian models to local tastes. The Dvaravati footprint of the Buddha, carved in stone and adorned with auspicious symbols, became a popular devotional object, a uniquely Mon innovation. Theravada Buddhism was the dominant faith. Monasteries served as schools, hospitals, and orphanages. Young men typically entered the monkhood for a period of study, a tradition that continues in Thailand today. Buddhist cosmology shaped governance. The king was expected to uphold dharma, righteousness, protect the Sangha, monastic community, and accumulate merit through donations. Inscriptions record royal gifts of land, slaves, and cattle to monasteries. But Dvaravati also accommodated Hindu worship. Statues of Vishnu and Shiva have been found at several sites, and some rulers performed Hindu rituals to enhance their divine status. This religious pluralism was typical of pre-modern Southeast Asia, where Buddhism, Hinduism, and indigenous spirit cults coexisted and blended. While the Mon built their city-states, the Khmer Empire was taking shape in present-day Cambodia. Under powerful kings such as Jayavarman II, Indravarman V, and Suravarman, The builder of Angkor Wat, the Khmer expanded their control over much of mainland Southeast Asia. By the 11th century, Khmer armies had conquered the Dvaravati cities and imposed their own governors. The Khmer left a profound architectural legacy in Thailand. At Phimai, in Nakhon Ratchasima province, they built one of their grandest temples. A long stone causeway leads to a cruciform gallery, then to the central sanctuary, a tower of reddish sandstone that once housed a statue of the Buddhist king Avalokiteshvara. The lintels depict Hindu gods, Indra on his three-headed elephant, Vishnu reclining on the serpent Ananta, Shiva dancing the cosmic dance. The temple was oriented toward Angkor, reflecting the Khmer belief that their capital was the center of the universe. At Phanom Rung, built atop an extinct volcano, the Khmer created a temple that resembles a miniature Angkor Wat. The approach is a processional walkway lined with stone columns topped by lotus buds. Naga balustrades, serpent railings flank the stairs. The main sanctuary, with its 5 towers, represents the 5 peaks of Mount Meru. Twice a year, the sun aligns perfectly with the temple's 15 doorways, illuminating the inner sanctum, a testament to Khmer astronomical knowledge. The Khmer also built hospitals and rest houses along the royal roads that connected their provinces. Inscriptions list the staff assigned to each facility: physicians, apothecaries, cooks, and servants. They distributed medicinal herbs and provided free care to travelers and the poor. These humanitarian initiatives, sponsored by the king to earn religious merit, were unprecedented in scale. Khmer rule, however, was not universally accepted. Local Thai chieftains chafed under foreign overlordship. They paid tribute, supplied labor for temple construction, and provided soldiers for Khmer wars. But they also maintained their own armies and kept their own council. As Khmer power waned in the 13th century, due to overextension, internal rebellion, and the rise of Theravada Buddhism, which challenged the Hindu god-king ideology, these chieftains saw their opportunity. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Khmer period is the development of the script that would later become Thai. The Khmer writing system itself derived from Palavar script, which came from South India. Thai chieftains and their scribes learned to read and write Khmer, adapting it for their own uses. When Ramhang later created the Thai alphabet, he drew directly on Khmer models. Thus, the conqueror's script became the conquered people's tool for cultural expression, a common pattern in history. The catalyst for independence came in 1238. 2 Thai leaders, Phokun Bangklang Hao and Phokun Mueang, had been loyal Khmer vassals stationed in the northern frontier. When the Khmer king died without a clear successor, they sensed weakness. They gathered their followers, seized the Khmer outpost of Sukhothai, and declared a new kingdom. The name Sukhothai means dawn of happiness, an optimistic name for a new beginning. The kingdom initially controlled only a small area along the Yom River, but under the warrior king Ramkhamhaeng, 1279-1298, it expanded dramatically. Ramkhamhaeng's campaigns conquered the Mon kingdoms of the Central Plain, subdued the Khmer stronghold of Phimai, and extended Thai influence into present-day Laos and the Malay Peninsula. By the end of his reign, Sukhothai was the dominant power in mainland Southeast Asia. Ramkhamhaeng's most enduring achievement was the creation of the Thai alphabet. Before him, Thai people wrote using either Khmer or Mon scripts, both ill-suited to the tonality of the Thai language. Ramkhamhaeng reportedly gathered scholars, studied various writing systems, and devised a script that captured the sounds of spoken Thai with remarkable precision. An inscription dated 1292, the so-called Ramkhamhaeng Stele, is the earliest surviving example. The stele describes the king as a just and accessible ruler who hung a bell at the palace gate. Any subject with a grievance could ring the bell and receive an immediate hearing. The stele also paints a portrait of an idealized kingdom. In the water there are fish, in the fields there is rice. The king did not tax his people heavily. They kept most of what they produced. Merchants came from far away, paying customs duties in silver and gold. Buddhist monks enjoyed royal patronage, studying the Tripitaka, Buddhist scriptures, and teaching the Dharma. The people were happy, the stele claims, because the king ruled as a father to his children. Scholars have debated the authenticity of the Ramkhamhaeng stele since the 1980s. Some argue it is a 19th century forgery created by Thai rulers seeking to legitimize their dynasty. Others defend its authenticity, pointing to linguistic and archaeological evidence. The debate remains unresolved, but regardless of the stele's origin, the historical Ramkhamhaeng did exist and did preside over a remarkable cultural flowering. Sukhothai's art reflects this spirit of confidence and grace. The Sukhothai Buddha image, exemplified by the famous walking Buddha at Wat Si Chum, breaks sharply with earlier Khmer models. The figure is elongated, with a flame-like halo rising from the crown, a serene oval face, and a smooth unadorned robe that follows the contours of the body. The walking posture, with one foot forward and the right hand raised in the fear not gesture, conveys movement and calm simultaneously. This style became the gold standard for Thai Buddhist sculpture, copied for centuries. The kingdom's temples followed a distinctive plan. A large central stupa, chedi, shaped like a bell or a lotus bud, surrounded by smaller chedis and pavilions. Wat Mahathat, the largest temple in Sukhothai city, contains over 200 smaller chedis clustered around the main one. Their brick and stucco surfaces, originally covered with gold leaf, must have glittered in the sun. The temple also features a large vihan, assembly hall, where monks chanted and laypeople offered alms. Sukhothai's economy was based on rice, but the kingdom also exported ceramics. Sukhothai kilns produced distinctive stoneware with underglaze iron decorations, fish, flowers, and geometric patterns. These wares have been found as far away as the Philippines, Indonesia, and Japan, indicating active maritime trade. Some scholars suggest that Sukhothai ceramics were carried by Chinese junks along the same routes that brought Chinese silks and porcelains to Southeast Asia. Sukhothai's decline began in the 14th century. Ramkhamhaeng's successors lacked his military skill and charisma. Provincial governors grew powerful and acted independently. More importantly, a new power was rising to the south, Ayutthaya, a trading kingdom located at the head of the Gulf of Thailand. Ayutthaya's kings gradually chipped away at Sukhothai's territory, and in 1378 they forced Sukhothai to accept vassal status. The final blow came in 1438 when Ayutthaya formally annexed Sukhothai and absorbed its remaining territory. Yet Sukhothai's legacy did not disappear. Ayutthaya adopted Sukhothai's script, its Buddhist piety, and many of its artistic conventions. The ideal of the righteous king, Dhammaraja, remained central to Thai political thought. And the ruins of Sukhothai, preserved today as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, continue to inspire visitors with their quiet beauty and historical significance. The annual Loy Krathong festival, celebrated in Sukhothai with particular grandeur, is said to have originated in this period. Though the evidence is thin, the association adds to the romantic aura of the ancient capital. On a bend of the Chao Phraya River, at the confluence with the Lopburi and Pa Sak rivers, King U Thong founded a new city in 1351. He named it Ayutthaya after the legendary Indian city of Ayodhya, the capital of the god Rama. The location was strategic. The rivers provided natural moats against invaders, easy access to the sea for trade, and rich alluvial soil for agriculture. Ayutthaya would grow to become one of the largest and wealthiest cities in the pre-modern world. At its height in the 17th century, Ayutthaya covered some 20 square kilometers, surrounded by 20 kilometers of city walls and a deep moat. Its population may have exceeded 1 million, including Siamese, Mon, Khmer, Lao, Chinese, Japanese, Persians, Indians, Portuguese, Dutch, English, and French. Each ethnic group lived in its own quarter with its own headman and its own places of worship. The Japanese quarter, for example, had a Buddhist temple and a Shinto shrine, while the Portuguese quarter had a Catholic church and a hospital. The city's economy was fueled by foreign trade. Ayutthaya exported rice, the staff of life for much of Asia, dried fish, animal hides, sapphires, tin, lead, and hardwoods. It imported Chinese silks and porcelains, Indian cottons, Persian carpets, Japanese lacquerware, European firearms, and Arabian horses. The king controlled all foreign trade through a series of royal monopolies, but he also licensed private merchants who paid customs duties and provided a steady stream of revenue. The kingdom's political structure was a centralized bureaucracy with the king at its apex. Below the king were four principal ministers, Kalahom, Mahathai, Kromathang, and Kromna, each responsible for a specific domain: military, civil affairs, treasury, and agriculture. Provinces were governed by royal appointees who reported directly to the capital. This system, codified in the Trilokanat reforms of the 15th century, allowed Ayutthaya to field large armies, mobilize labor for public works, and administer justice. Ayutthaya's kings were warrior monarchs. They waged frequent wars against rival kingdoms: Lan Na to the north, the Khmer to the east, the Lao to the northeast, and Burma to the west. The bitterest rival was Burma. In 1569, Burmese forces sacked Ayutthaya for the first time, carrying off the royal family and much of the population. The kingdom was reduced to a Burmese vassal for 15 years before a prince named Naresuan led a successful rebellion. Naresuan's legendary elephant duel with the Burmese crown prince at Nong Sarai in 1593 became a defining moment in Thai national history. Ayutthaya's golden age came under King Narai, 1656-1688. Narai was fascinated by the West. He welcomed French Jesuit missionaries, corresponded with Louis XIV, and sent ambassadors to Versailles. He built a new palace at Lop Buri, designed in a hybrid Thai-European style, and installed a telescope in its tower to study the stars. He also employed Greek adventurer Constantine Phalkon as his chief minister, giving him vast powers over foreign affairs and trade. But Narai's Western leanings provoked a backlash. After his death, anti-European forces seized power, expelled the French, and executed Phalkon. Ayutthaya turned inward, limiting foreign contact for nearly a century. This isolation, while preserving Thai culture, also deprived the kingdom of new military technology and economic opportunities. The ban on foreign trade with Europeans was not total. The Dutch, who had proven less threatening than the French, were allowed to continue their factory, but the era of cosmopolitan openness had ended. By the 18th century, Ayutthaya was in decline. Succession disputes weakened royal authority. Corrupt officials enriched themselves. Peasant rebellions broke out in the provinces. One of the most famous rebellions was led by a man named Thep, who claimed to be a holy figure with magical powers. He gathered a large following in the northeastern provinces before being crushed by royal troops. Such uprisings, fueled by economic hardship and millenarian beliefs, signaled that the social fabric was fraying. Meanwhile, a newly unified Burma under the Konbaung dynasty prepared for war. In 1765, Burmese armies invaded from two directions. Ayutthaya's defences, commanded by incompetent generals, crumbled after a siege of 14 months. On April 7, 1767, the Burmese broke through the walls. What followed was a catastrophe. The Burmese looted and burned the city, reducing its magnificent temples to charred ruins. They melted down gold Buddha images for bullion, smashed bronze statues for scrap, and carried off thousands of captives. The royal library, containing centuries of manuscripts, went up in flames. The king died fleeing, and the remaining population scattered. After 417 years, Ayutthaya was no more. The destruction was so complete that later generations could barely imagine the city's former glory. When American diplomat John Bowring visited the ruins in the 1850s, he described the desolation of a mighty city where the jungle had overgrown the palaces and the tiger and the serpent were the only inhabitants. Yet even in ruins, Ayutthaya retained a haunting beauty. The head of the stone Buddha at Wat Mahathat, entwined in the roots of a banyan tree, became an iconic image of resilience and impermanence. In the chaos after Ayutthaya's fall, a man of remarkable energy emerged. General Taksin, the son of a Chinese father and a Thai mother, had been governor of Tak province. When Ayutthaya fell, he escaped with a small force of 500 soldiers and marched southeast. Over the next few months, he gathered supporters, fought off Burmese patrols, and established a base at Chanthaburi on the Gulf Coast. From Chanthaburi, Taksin built a fleet and sailed up the Chao Phraya River. In a series of audacious attacks, he routed the Burmese garrison at Thonburi, across the river from modern Bangkok, and declared himself king. He was crowned in 1768, but his authority was far from secure. Rival warlords controlled much of the country. The Burmese threatened to return. Thaksin spent the next decade reunifying the kingdom through relentless military campaigns. Thaksin was a brilliant strategist. He armed his troops with firearms imported from Chinese merchants and trained them in European-style drilling. He used swift riverboats to outmaneuver enemies on land. He personally led charges on elephant back, inspiring his men by his courage. By 1770, he had crushed all rivals and driven the Burmese back across the border. He then went on the offensive, capturing the Lao kingdom of Vientiane and reducing Cambodia to a Thai vassal. But Thaksin's success went to his head. He became increasingly erratic, claiming to be a Buddhist saint, Sotapanna, with magical powers. He demanded that his subjects worship him as a deity, and lashed out violently against anyone who questioned him. The people grew weary of his tyranny. In 1782, a rebellion broke out in the capital. Thaksin was deposed and executed in a manner still debated by historians. Some say by beheading, others by smothering in a velvet bag. The man who took power was General Chow Phraya Chakri, Thaksin's most trusted commander. As Chakri returned from a campaign in Cambodia, the rebels offered him the throne. He accepted, inaugurating the Chakri dynasty that rules Thailand to this day. Taking the regnal name Rama Ice, he moved the capital across the river to the village of Bangkok, then called Bangkok, meaning olive plum village, for better defense and more space. Thaksin's legacy remains contested. Some Thais view him as a national hero who saved the kingdom from destruction. Others see him as a dangerous madman whose megalomania justified his overthrow. In 1954, the Thai government erected a statue of Thaksin in his hometown of Tak, and he was later declared a great king by UNESCO. Yet the name Thaksin became politically charged again in the 2000s, when Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, whose name is a homophone, was seen by some as a reincarnation of the controversial monarch. History and politics rarely remain separate. King Rama I set about rebuilding Thai civilization from the ashes of war. His first priority was to reconstruct the symbols of royal and religious authority. On the east bank of the river, he built the Grand Palace, a walled city within a city containing the royal residence, the throne halls, and the temple of the Emerald Buddha, Wat Phra Kayu. The Emerald Buddha itself, a small jadeite statue with a legendary history, had been captured from Vientiane. Rama I installed it with great ceremony, making it the palladium of the kingdom. The early Chakri kings saw themselves as restorers of Ayutthayan tradition. They commissioned new editions of Buddhist scriptures, collected lost manuscripts, and rebuilt temples destroyed by the Burmese. Wat Pho, next to the Grand Palace, was expanded and beautified. Its famous reclining Buddha, 46 meters long and covered in gold leaf, dates from this period. Wat Pho also became a center of traditional medicine, with inscriptions on anatomy, herbal remedies, and massage carved on stone tablets. Rama also codified Thai law. He appointed a committee of legal scholars to compile all existing laws, decrees, and precedents, selecting the best and discarding contradictions. The resulting Three Seals Code, named for the three royal seals affixed to it, remained the foundation of Thai law until the 20th century. It covered everything from criminal procedure to inheritance to the sale of slaves. The code was remarkably humane for its time. Torture was regulated, not abolished, but excessive cruelty was punished. Rama II, 1809–1824, was more interested in the arts than in war. He was a poet and playwright, credited, perhaps apocryphally, with writing episodes of the Ramakien, the Thai version of the Ramayana. He also patronized the revival of classical dance, music, and literature. His reign was peaceful, allowing the economy to recover and trade to expand. One of his lasting contributions was the promotion of the Kon-masked dance drama, which depicted scenes from the Ramakien using elaborate costumes and stylized movements. Rama III, 1824–1851, reversed his father's cultural focus, dedicating himself to commerce and construction. He strengthened ties with China, sending tribute missions every 3 years and receiving generous gifts in return. Chinese merchants flocked to Bangkok, settling in the Sampeng area and building a thriving commercial quarter. Rama III also built dozens of temples, including Wat Ratchanada with its unusual metal spires, Loha Prasat. He famously said, "I am building only temples, not poems." By the end of Rama III's reign, however, a new threat had appeared on the horizon. British ships, flying the flag of the East India Company, had anchored off the coast. The British had conquered Burma to the west and Malaya to the south. Siam was now surrounded by colonial powers. The next kings would have to navigate these dangerous waters. Rama III's warning to his successors was prophetic. There will be no more wars with Vietnam and Burma. There will be only war with the Europeans. King Mongkut, Rama IV 1851 to 1868, was no ordinary monarch. He had spent 27 years as a Buddhist monk before ascending the throne, during which time he studied Pali, Sanskrit, and English, corresponded with missionaries, and read Western science. He understood the threat of colonialism better than any of his contemporaries. Mongkut's strategy was accommodation without submission. He signed the Bowring Treaty with Britain in 1855, which opened Siam to free trade, capped import and export duties, and granted extraterritorial rights to British subjects. Similar treaties followed with France, the United States, and other powers. These treaties cost Siam control over its tariff policy and legal jurisdiction. But they also brought prosperity. Exports of rice, teak, and tin boomed, Bangkok's port filled with steamships. The economy grew at unprecedented rates. Mongkut also initiated scientific and educational reforms. He hired Western tutors for his children, including the famous Anna Leonowens, whose memoirs later inspired the musical The King and I. He encouraged the study of astronomy and correctly predicted the solar eclipse of 1868. He reformed the calendar and introduced modern printing presses. And he remained fiercely independent, famously offering a herd of elephants to President Buchanan of the United States when the latter refused to sell him military equipment. A diplomatic gesture that baffled the Americans. Mongkut's son, Chulalongkorn Ramavirr, 1868 to 1910, took modernization much further. Educated by Western tutors and inspired by his travels to Java, India, and Singapore, Chulalongkorn embarked on a comprehensive program of reform. He abolished the centuries-old practice of prostration before the king. He freed slaves, a process completed in 1905. He replaced the traditional system of provincial governors, who ruled like petty kings, with a centralized bureaucracy of salaried officials appointed by Bangkok. Chulalongkorn created Western-style ministries: interior, defense, justice, finance, and education. He built railways, telegraph lines, and paved roads. He established a modern army, trained by Danish and British officers, and a modern navy. He reformed the legal code, appointing a commission of French and Belgian jurists to draft a penal code and civil code. He built hospitals, schools, and a post office. Most importantly, Chulalongkorn preserved Siam's independence. He ceded territory to the French: Laos in 1893, the western part of Cambodia in 1904, and the eastern part in 1907. He ceded 4 northern Malay states to the British in 1909. These losses were painful, but they were calculated. By giving up peripheral territories, Chulalongkorn kept the core intact. Siam remained the only country in Southeast Asia not colonized. Chulalongkorn also transformed the monarchy itself. He traveled abroad twice, to Java in 1870, then part of the Dutch East Indies, and to Europe in 1897 and 1907. His European tour was a diplomatic triumph. He was received by Queen Victoria, President Felix Faure of France, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, and Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany. He returned with new ideas about palace architecture, royal ceremony, and governance. The monarchy became more distant, more sacred, and more modern simultaneously. When Chulalongkorn died in 1910, he left behind a transformed nation. The absolute monarchy still ruled, but it ruled over a modern, centralized, internationally respected state. His son, Vajirabhud Rama VI, would build on this foundation, adding nationalism, education, and a sense of Thai identity. One of Chulalongkorn's last acts was to commission a public monument to himself, the equestrian statue in Bangkok's Royal Plaza. It stands today as a symbol of the king who saved Siam. King Vajiravud, Rama VI, 1910–1925, was a playwright, poet, and scholar. He translated Shakespeare into Thai, wrote nationalist plays, and founded the Wild Tiger Corps, a paramilitary youth organization modeled on the Boy Scouts. He also introduced compulsory primary education, though implementation was slow. Vajiravud faced financial difficulties. The modernization programs of his father had drained the treasury. The king cut costs by reducing the royal household and selling crown lands, but debts mounted. He also faced criticism from Western-educated elites who wanted a constitution and a parliament. In response, he became more nationalistic, promoting the idea that Thais were a superior race and that the monarchy was the embodiment of the nation. One of Vajiravud's lasting contributions was the adoption of the tricolour flag. Until 1917, the Siamese flag featured a white elephant on a red field. Vajiravud changed it to the current design of blue, white, and red horizontal stripes. Blue represented the monarchy, white represented Buddhism, and red represented the nation. He also promoted the use of surnames, which had not been common in Siam. His royal decree of 1913 required all Thai families to adopt a unique family name, a reform that greatly simplified administration. Vajiravud died in 1925 without an heir. His brother, Prajadipok Rama VII, 1925–1935, inherited a kingdom in trouble. The Great Depression had crashed the global economy, and Siam's export revenues collapsed. The king reduced salaries, but it wasn't enough. By 1931, the treasury was empty. The absolute monarchy seemed bankrupt in every sense. On June 24, 1932, a group of military officers and civil servants, many of them educated in Paris, staged a bloodless coup. They called themselves the People's Party, Kana Ratsadon. Their leader, Colonel Phaya Phahonphonphayu Hasina, read a proclamation abolishing absolute monarchy and establishing a constitutional government. King Prajadipok, caught by surprise, agreed to the new order. Siam had become a constitutional monarchy. The transition was rocky. The People's Party drafted a constitution that gave real power to the National Assembly. But the king retained some authority. Political parties formed, split, and merged. The military, which had been the instrument of the coup, increasingly dominated politics. In 1933, a royalist counter-coup failed, leading to the exile of Prince Bawaradet. The military purged its rivals. The dominant figure of the 1930s was Field Marshal Phibun Songkhram, Plaek Phibun Songkhram, who became Prime Minister in 1938. Phibun was a nationalist, a militarist, and an admirer of fascism. He changed the country's name from Siam to Thailand, Prathet Thai, in 1939, meaning land of the free, and emphasizing the Thai ethnic identity over the multi-ethnic reality. He issued cultural mandates, Rathanium, that regulated dress, language, and behavior. Thais were ordered to wear hats, use Western table manners, and greet each other with the word Sawasdi, a greeting he invented. He also promoted the cult of the military with mass parades and nationalist propaganda. When World War II broke out in Europe, Phibun declared neutrality. But when Japan invaded Southeast Asia in December 1941, he cut a deal. Japanese troops would pass through Thailand to attack British Malaya and Burma, and in return, Japan would support Thai claims to territories lost to France in Laos and Cambodia. Thailand declared war on the United States and Britain in January 1942. Not all Thais accepted this alliance. The Seri Thai, Free Thai movement led by Pridi Banomyong, a civilian leader and regent, secretly supported the Allies. Seri Thai agents provided intelligence to the British, helped downed American pilots escape, and prepared an uprising against the Japanese. After Japan's surrender in August 1945, Seri Thai took control and presented Thailand as a victim, not an ally. The Allies accepted this argument, and Thailand escaped harsh punishment. The post-war years saw a brief experiment with democracy, but the military soon returned to power. Field Marshal Sarit Thanarat, who seized control in 1957, restored the prestige of the monarchy. He revived royal ceremonies, provided generous funding for royal projects, and elevated King Bhumibol Adulyadej Rama Nikes as a national symbol. The monarchy, which had been weakened by the 1932 revolution, regained its moral authority. Sarit also aligned Thailand firmly with the West. He accepted American military aid, allowed the United States to build air bases, and sent Thai troops to fight in the Korean War and later in Vietnam. In return, Thailand received billions of dollars in economic and military assistance. This money funded infrastructure projects, dams, highways, ports, that laid the foundation for rapid industrialization. The Vietnam War 1964-1975 transformed Thailand. The American military stationed 50,000 troops in the country, operating air bases at Udon Thani, Ubon Ratchathani, Nakhon Phanom, and elsewhere. The bases pumped money into local economies, created jobs, and stimulated the growth of entertainment districts, most famously in Pattaya. They also exposed Thies to American culture, rock music, blue jeans, fast food that reshaped urban life. After the fall of Saigon in 1975, Thai foreign policy shifted. Thailand recognized the victorious communist governments of Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, hoping to live peacefully with its neighbors. But Vietnamese occupation of Cambodia, 1979 to 1989, created a new threat. Thousands of Cambodian refugees fled across the border, and Thai soil became a battleground for proxy wars between Vietnam and anti-communist forces. The 1980s and 1990s were decades of spectacular economic growth. Thailand transformed itself from an agricultural country to an industrial one. Factories produced textiles, footwear, electronics, and automobiles for export. Tourism exploded, with Bangkok, Phuket, Koh Samui, and Chiang Mai becoming world-famous destinations. The stock market boomed, the middle class swelled, skyscrapers reshaped the Bangkok skyline. But the growth was built on shaky foundations. Thailand's currency, the baht, was pegged to the US dollar. To defend the peg, the central bank had borrowed heavily in foreign currencies. At the same time, banks had made risky loans to property developers. In 1997, a wave of panic selling hit the baht. The central bank spent billions of dollars trying to prop it up, but it failed. On July 2, 1997, the baht was floated, and its value immediately collapsed. The Asian financial crisis spread to Indonesia, South Korea, and other countries, causing recessions, bankruptcies, and social unrest. In Thailand, dozens of finance companies went under. Unemployment rose to double digits. The middle class saw their savings evaporate. The economy contracted by 10% in 1998. For the first time since the 1930s, Thais experienced real poverty and desperation. The crisis was also a political turning point. The government of Chuan Likpai, which had inherited the crisis, negotiated a $17 billion bailout with the International Monetary Fund. In exchange, Thailand agreed to raise interest rates, cut spending, and restructure its financial system. The reforms were painful, but they worked. By 2001, the economy was growing again. However, the social scars remained, and the crisis fueled resentment against the political establishment. Resentment that would erupt in the next decade. The 2001 elections brought to power a man who would reshape Thai politics. Thaksin Shinawatra, a telecommunications billionaire. Thaksin's Thai Rak Thai, Thais Love Thai party offered a bold populist platform. Cheap healthcare, 30 baht per visit, village development funds, debt moratoriums for farmers, and a universal subsidy for rural schools. These policies resonated deeply in the countryside, which had been neglected by previous governments. Thaksin won a landslide. His government delivered growth, stability, and improved social services. But he also centralized power, muzzled the press, and launched a deadly war on drugs that killed over 2,000 people. He sold his telecommunications company to a Singaporean firm in a tax-free deal that outraged the urban middle class. By 2005, Bangkok was seething with resentment. The crisis came to a head in 2006. Thaksin called snap elections, but the opposition boycotted them. The courts voided the results. On September 19, 2006, while Thaksin was at the United Nations General Assembly, the military staged a coup. General Sonthi Buniaratglin took power, suspended the constitution, and promised to hold new elections. Elections were held in 2007 and pro-Thaksin parties won again. But the battle was far from over. A new opposition movement, the People's Alliance for Democracy, pad, dressed in yellow shirts, the colour of the monarchy, took to the streets. They occupied the Prime Minister's office, blockaded Parliament and shut down Bangkok's airports. In 2008, the Constitutional Court dissolved the pro-Thaksin party and a new government, led by the Democrat Party with military backing, took power. In response, pro-Thaksin activists formed the United Front for Democracy Against Dictatorship, UDD, the Red Shirts. They demanded fresh elections and the return of democratic rule. In 2010, they occupied the commercial heart of Bangkok, shutting down major intersections and shopping malls. The government responded with a military crackdown that left more than 90 people dead and 2,000 wounded. The Red Shirts surrendered, but the wounds remained. Another coup followed in 2014. General Prayut Chan-o-cha seized power, promising to restore order and reform the political system. His junta wrote a new constitution, approved by a controversial referendum in 2016, that gave the military reserved seats in the Senate and weakened political parties. Elections were finally held in 2019, but the results were widely seen as manipulated in favor of the pro-military party. Throughout these tumultuous years, King Bhumibol Adulyadej Ramanike served as a stabilizing force. He rarely intervened directly, but his moral authority and his carefully cultivated image as a humble, hard-working monarch gave Thais a sense of continuity. When he died in October 2016, after 70 years on the throne, the nation wept. His son, King Maha Vajiralongkorn Ramatex, now reigns, but he lacks his father's gravitas and faces a skeptical younger generation. One of the most remarkable aspects of King Bhumibol's reign was his sufficiency economy philosophy. Developed in the wake of the 1997 financial crisis, it emphasizes moderation, resilience, and self-reliance. Rather than chasing rapid growth, the philosophy encourages living within one's means, diversifying crops, and maintaining strong community bonds. The United Nations has recognized sufficiency economy as a model for sustainable development, and it continues to influence Thai policy today. No history of Thailand would be complete without examining the cultural threads that bind the nation together. Buddhism is the most obvious. Over 90% of Thais identify as Theravada Buddhists, and the religion permeates every aspect of life. Young men still ordain as monks for a season or longer. Temples host festivals, funerals, weddings, and village meetings. The Buddhist calendar, which began 543 years before the Christian era, is still used for official and religious purposes. But Thai Buddhism is far from a pure import. It incorporates elements of Brahmanism from the Khmer and animism from indigenous traditions. Spirit houses, San Phra Phum, stand outside nearly every home and business, providing shelter for the guardian spirits who might otherwise cause trouble. Buddhist monks chant protective verses, and spirit doctors perform rituals to appease angry ghosts. This syncretism is not seen as contradictory. Thus have long been comfortable holding multiple beliefs simultaneously. Thai cuisine is another cultural marker. Known for its balance of sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and spicy flavors, Thai food has conquered the world. Yet many dishes served abroad, such as pad thai and green curry, are relatively recent inventions. The Thai food revolution was driven by the government in the 2000s, which trained chefs, opened restaurants, and promoted Thai cuisine as a form of soft power. The strategy worked. Today there are thousands of Thai restaurants worldwide. Traditional arts remain vibrant. Khon masked dance drama, with its elaborate costumes and precise movements, depicts scenes from the Ramakien. Classical music features instruments such as the ranat, xylophone, kim, hammered dulcimer, and pai oboe. Muay Thai, or Thai boxing, has evolved from a battlefield martial art to a global sport. And the annual Songkran Water Festival, which marks the Thai New Year, draws tourists from every continent. Family structure in Thailand has traditionally been extended and hierarchical. Children are taught to respect parents, grandparents, and elders. The concept of Kreng Jai, reluctance to impose, governs social interactions. Thais avoid direct confrontation and value-saving faith. These norms are changing with urbanization and globalization, but they still shape behavior. One of the most distinctive aspects of Thai culture is the institution of the monarchy. While the king has little political power in the constitutional system, the reverence for the throne remains deep. The lèse-majesté law, one of the strictest in the world, criminalizes any criticism of the royal family. Foreigners and Thais alike have been imprisoned for violating it. This taboo makes open discussion of the monarchy difficult, but it also reflects the central role the crown has played in Thai identity for centuries. And so we close this long journey through Thailand's history. From the stone tools of ancient hunter-gatherers to the blockchain startups of modern Bangkok, from the rice paddies of Ban Chiang to the high-rise condominiums of Sukhumvit, from the elephant duels of Ayutthaya to the Twitter wars of today, Thailand has changed almost beyond recognition. Yet certain things endure. The rice fields still turn gold at harvest time. The temples still echo with morning chants. The water festivals still bring joy. The king, though transformed in power and role, remains a focus of loyalty. And the Thai people, whatever their political disagreements, share a deep pride in their heritage. Thailand's future is uncertain. Climate change threatens the monsoon patterns that have watered rice for millennia. The population is aging and the workforce shrinking. Political polarization shows no sign of healing. The young, educated and connected demand change that the old guard resists. But if history teaches anything, it is that Thailand has weathered worse crises and emerged stronger. Perhaps the most enduring lesson of Thai history is that resilience is not about resisting change, but about adapting to it while preserving what matters. The Thais have adopted Buddhism from India, statecraft from the Khmer, technology from the West, and capitalism from the global market. Yet they remain unmistakably Thai. That balance of openness and identity is the secret of their survival. Since you are still here, perhaps you would like to check my other videos. The last video was about the history of Japan. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Until next time.